huge ecosystems could collapse in less than 50 years, a new study claims. It's by John Deering, Professor of Physical Geography, University of Southampton. Greg Cooper, Postdoctoral Research Fellow, Centre for Development, Environment and Policy, SOAS, University of London. And Simon Wilcock, Senior Lecturer, Environment Geography, Bangor University. This is on the conversation. We know the ecosystems under stress can reach a point where they rapidly collapse into something very different. The clear water of a pristine lake can turn algae green in a matter of months. In hot summers, a colorful coral reef can soon become bleached and virtually barren. And if a tropical forest has its canopy significantly reduced by deforestation, the loss of humidity can cause a shift to savanna grassland with few trees. For example, this is the image that we see. The Amazon is on the left. It may one day look more like the Serengeti of Africa, which is on the right. As you can see, very dry. Now, we know this can happen because such changes have already been widely observed. But our research, now published in the journal Nature Communications, shows that the size of the ecosystem is important. Once a tipping point is triggered, large ecosystems could collapse much faster than we had thought possible. It's a finding that has worrying implications for the functioning of our planet. We started off by wondering how the size of the ecosystem might affect the time taken for these changes. Ecologists call them regime shifts to happen. It seems intuitive to expect large ecosystems to shift more slowly than small ones. If so, would the relationship between shift time and size be the same for lakes, corals, fisheries, and forests? We began by analyzing data for about 40 regime shifts and had already been observed by scientists. And these ranged in size from very small ponds in North America through to savanna grasslands in Botswana in Africa, and also Newfoundland, Canada fishery and the Black Sea aquatic ecosystem. We found that larger ecosystems do indeed take longer to collapse than small ones due to the diffusion of stresses across large distances and lag times. The relationship does seem to hold across different types of ecosystems. Lakes take longer than ponds. Forests take longer to collapse than a copse, and so on. But what really stood out was that larger systems shift relatively faster. A forest that is 100 times bigger than another forest will not take 100 times longer to collapse. It actually collapses much more quickly than that. This is quite a profound finding because that means that large ecosystems that have been around for thousands of years could collapse in less than 50 years. Our mean estimates suggest the Caribbean coral reefs could collapse in only 15 years and the whole Amazon rainforest in just 49 years. What explains this phenomenon? To find out, we ran 5 computer models that simulated things like predation and herbivory, think wolves, sheep, and grasslands, or social network, how accents spread through society. The models support the data in that large system collapsed relatively faster than small ones. However, the models also provide further insight. For example, large ecosystems often have relatively more species and habitats existing as connected compartments or subsystems. This enhanced modularity actually makes the system more resilient to stress and collapse, rather like the watertight compartments in a ship prevent it from sinking if the hull is breached. But paradoxically, the same modularity seems to allow a highly stressed system to unravel more quickly once a collapse starts. And because large systems are relatively more modular, their collapse is relatively faster. These unraveling efforts should add to concerns about the effects of fires on the long-term resilience of the Amazon to climate change or the rapid spread of recent bushfires in Australia caused by existing fires igniting further trees. The only upside to our finding concerns ecosystems that have already been managed into alternate regimes such as human-made agricultural landscapes. These now have much less modularity and thus may experience relatively slow transitions in the face of climate change or other stresses. The messages are stark. Humanity now needs to prepare for changes in ecosystems that are faster than we previously envisaged through our traditional linear view of the world. Large iconic ecosystems like the Amazon rainforest or the Caribbean coral reefs are likely to collapse over relatively short human timescales of years and decades once a tipping point is triggered. Our findings are yet another reason to halt the environmental change that is pushing ecosystems to their limits. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.